This is the picture provided by Mr. Noel Pascoe as he reflects of the time he was invited by Grand Chief Sir Micheal Somare to join him in dressing up traditionally. With the passing of Sir Micheal, he shares this story with us. The year was 1973.
I went along to his village in the Murray Lakes of Sepik back in about 1973 with a bunch of other journalists from overseas and Papua New Guinea. We were invited to see Sir Micheal emerge from the houseman at Karau village. He'd been through several episodes of being groomed for leadership of the clan, and this was to be the final session. We went by a coastal boat down the coast from Wewak, a long slow cruise up the Sepik River past Angoram, and arrived at Karau village late in the afternoon. We male journalists were invited to join Sir Micheal in the house Tambran to see what it was like.
While the other journalists left to take a break, Pascoe was fascinated about the ritual and remained, a decision he has never forgotten.
After a while, the fellow was a bit tired. They wanted to have a break from the session, so the journalists went back to their own hut where they were living, just to have a break, cup of coffee, drink or so. Myself, I was fascinated by the whole occasion, with all the decoration and things being done to Sir Micheal, and the atmosphere of the House Tambran. So I didn't join the other journalists. I stayed back in the House Tambran and kept watching. And lo and behold, Sir Micheal bobbed up and said, "No, look, you seem very interested in what's happening here. Would you like to have the same thing done to you?" I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" "Well, my uncles can dress you up the same way as I am, and you can take part in the ceremony." And being a very young, inexperienced fellow in PNG, I was quite surprised but delighted. So I said, "Okay, go ahead." And I sat down on a little wooden stool then while his uncles came around and started colouring up my skin to make me look a bit brown, and all the decorations around my arms and ankles and neck and so on. It was fascinating.
Among the whole ceremony, he remembers two distinct rituals. Exiting the house Tambaran.
Early in the morning, it was time to come out for him to emerge from the house Tambaran and to be greeted by his people as the new leader. And all of a sudden, a number of the men in the house Tambaran lay down on the bamboo floor, prostrating themselves there in front of him. About 6 men, I think it was, and Sir Micheal stood up, walked across and walked over those fellows, his relations, to get to the entrance and leave the house Tambaran. Turned around, he looked at me and said, "Okay, Noel, it's your turn now, come on." And being a typical young Aussie bloke, I wasn't used to standing on other people's bodies. And I said, "Oh, I can't do that, I can't do that." "No, do it, you've got to do it now." So I almost skipped across their bodies and as light as I could, and we went outside.
And the Kulau experience.
I was gathered in various locations around the village, and we did a ritual walking around the village. Sir Micheal would stop every 20 or so yards, and there would be young women, or the women of the village, gathered there. One would crack a kulau, a drinking coconut, drink from the juice, and then spit it across the face of Sir Micheal. And again, I was a bit stunned by this. It didn't look like a very good thing to do, but that was the ritual, so I just went along with it. And we proceeded through the ceremony around the village to a throne that had been created for Sir Micheal to sit up there and greet his one talks after the ceremony.
It was an experience of a lifetime he will never forget.
It was a great occasion. I was delighted to be involved in that way, and we'll never forget it.
Shamin Poreambeb, National EMTV News.